Those of you who know Edelman will know that we're very proud of our annual Trust Barometer, now in its 16th year. For the 2016 Trust Barometer, we have a lot of extra data around employee trust and the extent to which employees trust the organisations they work for. I'm here with Christopher Hannigan. Christopher, what are the key findings?
So one of the biggest findings this year was a big gap in terms of internal trust. We found that the lower you are in an organization, the less likely you are to trust institutions in general. So specifically, we found that if you're a CEO or senior executive, you trust institutions at about 64%. If you're a line level manager, it drops to 51%. But if you're a rank and file employee, it drops down to 48%. So the irony here is quite a gap. The irony here is that, of course, that regular employee voice is one of the most trusted sources of information about a company, yet they're also the most likely to be the most skeptical.
And perhaps what's even more alarming is that about 1 in 3 employees don't even trust the company that they work for.
Right.
And the implications, based on what you've said, are actually pretty clear. If you don't trust the company you work for, you're less likely to say good things about them, but consumers will believe you.
Yeah.
On the flip side, if you do trust the company that you work for, you're more likely to say good things about them, and positively, consumers will believe you.
Yeah.
And it's interesting the point you make about employees being very trusted. They're still more trusted than the CEO, 52% against 49%. It's not a huge gap, but employees are the more trusted spokespeople. A person like yourself continues to be very trusted at 63%, but most trusted of all, the technical experts at 67%.
Yeah, and that continues trends that we've seen for the last few years.
Yeah.
One new thing that we found this year as well is there is a big gap in terms of if employees trust your CEO, the CEO of the company, or they believe that the company is engaged in societal issues. In those cases, we found that employees perform better. They're more likely to recommend the company as a great place to work. They're more likely to provide superior customer service.
So before we wrap up, why don't we talk about the sorts of questions that we think all companies should be asking themselves in relation to these findings, and we think there are 4 things. How do you make sure you've got the right mix of CEO, leadership and employees in your communication content? What do you stand for, and how do you tell your story, and how do you make sure you're bringing individual employee stories to life within that?
Yeah.
How do you make sure you've got the right technology in place so that you can communicate with your employees across any kind of working environment? And how do you use the same technology to help your employees advocate for you, particularly across their own social networks? And then finally, how do you track employee sentiment? And how do you really understand what employees are thinking and feeling?
All really important questions that can help companies build the business case for employee engagement and also unleashing the power of employees as advocates. So Nick, it's been great chatting with you.
Likewise.
As always.